Hey everybody, in this tutorial we're going to cover the different match types for your campaign and why we encourage you to use all three. As you might remember in a previous recording, we introduced broad, phrase, and exact matches into our keyword list. And I brought up a Google tutorial to give you a visual and explain the differences between each, and then also explain why we want to use all three matches in our campaign. So to start, the most broad and extensive search matching is going to be broad match, and they use the example tennis shoes for their keyword option. So let's say that somebody bid on the broad match of tennis shoes. Well, their ad would generate anytime somebody searched one of two of these words. So they would show up for tennis or shoes, buy tennis shoes, even tennis sneakers. Nice thing about broad is it's a good way to find new keywords for your market, because you'll see what people are searching for or what they search for to click on your ad. So it gives you new keyword ideas and also allows you to know who your market is, who's clicking on your ads, and who you may want to focus on. So it gives you a lot of great feedback. Phrase is a little bit more focused, and this is when somebody searches tennis shoes in that specific order and uses both words. So an ad would generate in phrase match when somebody searches red tennis shoes or tennis shoes photo, but it would not show for shoes for tennis. The reason being it's not in that order, tennis shoes. It would not show for tennis shoe because it's not plural, and it would not show for tennis sneakers because it does not include the word shoes. Main difference between phrase and broad is broad will show for either of those search terms, like tennis or shoes, whereas phrase, it has to include that phrase in that order. Finally, the most focused is exact match, and you would only show for the exact search tennis shoes and nothing else. Not red tennis shoes, not buy tennis shoes, just the term tennis shoes. Now, Google will display your ad based on the most relevant match. So if somebody searches tennis shoes, you're going to be charged the exact match. Whereas if somebody searches red tennis shoes, you're going to be charged for the phrase match. And finally, if somebody searches either one of the two keywords or a variation that doesn't include tennis shoes in that order, then you would generate broad match. So Google is going to choose the most specific match type for your ads. So that's the first reason why we want to use all three. Another reason is because somebody might be asking, well, if broad match covers everything, why wouldn't we just bid on that? And here's the reason. With exact match, you know exactly what you're getting. You know exactly what you're bidding on. So you want to bid the most on these terms, because Google bases your ad's position on the quality score, i.e. your relevance to that keyword times the bid amount, the max bid amount. So what I mean by that is, here are the ad positions for tennis shoes, and here's the paid ads. For exact match on tennis shoes, you'd want to show somewhere near the top, because that's very relevant, and you want people to click through on those ads. You know the exact traffic you're getting. It's somebody that's obviously searching for tennis shoes, so you would pay the most in order to have your ad show up the highest. The nice thing about that is, as Google finds you to be relevant for that term tennis shoes, you'll have to pay less per click, because they reward you in that regard. Next, phrase match, you'd pay a little bit less. You're going to pay the least for broad, the most for exact, and somewhere in the middle for phrase. Now, let's say somebody searched red tennis shoes. That's going to generate a click on your phrase match, so you'd be charged that amount. Now, you're not going to pay as much, because you might not be as concerned about showing at the very top for red tennis shoes, but that's still a pretty relevant search, so you still want to be somewhere near the top. I would say position, 5 or 6 right here and up, because you're still above the fold, which is this line right here, where people can see your ads when they immediately search tennis shoes. So maybe not as important to be at the very top, but you still want to be somewhere where somebody can see your ad. And finally, broad match you would bid the least on, because if somebody searches just tennis, that's obviously very broad. That could include anything from tennis balls to Andre Agassi to the next tennis match. Somebody might not really be searching for tennis shoes, so you don't want to spend as much money for somebody to click on your ad or to get your ad closer to the top. That doesn't really matter. The whole point of using broad is to extend your keyword list and to conduct research. So you might show up near the bottom like this Nike tennis shoes ad here, but your ad is still showing, and in that way you're still getting some clicks from those search terms, and you're not paying as much money because, again, it's not the most targeted traffic. That is why we're going to use negative keywords, and we're going to go into the next tutorial of how to build a negative keyword list. But for this example, this person probably doesn't want to show for used tennis shoes. They're probably only selling new tennis shoes. So they chose to put the word used in their negative keyword list, and that means their ad will never show when that word is used within the keyword searches, such as used tennis shoes or shoe used for tennis. Another negative keyword may be free. They probably don't want to show for those. Anytime that you're using phrase or broad, you need to use negative keywords, because it's going to generate searches that may not be relevant to your ad. And the importance of using negative keywords is it's going to help your quality score, because you're going to only generate those searches that are relevant to your ads. Google is going to reward you for it, because you're showing for the ads that are most relevant to your audience. People are clicking on your ads, and you're not spending money for tire kickers. You don't want to show up for free tennis shoes if you're only selling tennis shoes that somebody has to pay some type of money for. So obviously free would be a great negative keyword, so that you're not wasting that money or showing for irrelevant ads. In our example for Harrisburg Townhomes, one of my negative keywords is going to be rental, because we don't want to focus on renters. We're only concerned about our ads showing to homeowners. So rentals would be one of my keywords, one of my negative keywords that we'll be using. So hopefully that clarifies the different types of match cases and why we're using all three. And in the next tutorial, we'll cover using the negative keywords for your search to help to protect you from showing for irrelevant ads. Now, you don't have to use all three matches. You could just start with exact. If you're going to start anywhere, start with exact, then move to phrase, and eventually broad. But if you have the money and you're willing to invest in that for your research and to find new keyword variations, I would highly recommend use all three and just change your bid amounts for all three. And I'll show you how to do that when we start putting that into our Google AdWords campaign. And it'll be a little bit clearer when we get to that point. Okay, thanks.